Hey Knuckle, this is Colton with North Island Nissan. I am going to run over all the features that you checked off here. So I'll kind of pause the video and just skip right to the features. I'll try to do this as thoroughly as I can, but as quickly so it's not too long of a video. And so I'll just kind of go through this list as I have them in order here, and we'll just go kind of one by one through them. Of course, if you do have questions about the vehicle after the fact, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to make another video together for you once we have another Pathfinder on the lot, but similar vehicles I might be able to show off as well. For the tires, unfortunately our bags are on back order for them. So they are back there, but they're fairly clean. I made sure they were cleaned up ahead of time there. But we'll start running through these. So the first feature on here is the wireless charging pad. So the wireless charger for this vehicle, I'll go to a quick wide angle view so you get an idea of where we are here. So it's just right up front up here, and pretty much as long as your phone is compatible for it, it'll just sit in there. There is a little light right up there that'll light up yellow when it's working, and that's how you'll know that it's turned on. Some cases are too thick and they will kind of block it from being activated, but most of them should be totally fine there. I have a case on mine and it's totally fine there. So that's the wireless charging pad. Next, we're moving on to the second row seating system. So I'm gonna pause the video and we'll jump back there. All right, so here is a second row of seats here. We do have the rubber floor mats in this vehicle as well, and that's the carpet floor mats just sitting up over there. But for the Easy Flex seating system and the one touch system, there's a button right on the side right here. You just click that. That will fold the seat forward all by itself. And for anybody sitting in the third row, there's a button on the back here as well that they can push to put the seat forward and get out of the back row. And then the lever right here can be used to recline the back of it, as well as fold it down into the cargo mode too. And it's the exact same system for the other side there too. All right, so for the next two, they are on the key here as well. So there's a security system for Nissan, so that does have an alarm on it. If somebody goes to break into the vehicle when it's locked, it will set the alarm off, of course. If you hold down the panic button here, it will set the alarm off for the car too. And then the next feature was the remote start on it. So just hold down the alarm button to set that off. You can either hit the alarm button again to turn it off, or the unlock button, I believe, also does it in the middle there. Now for the remote start, you do want to hit the lock button first, and then hold down that top start button, and the lights do flash as you're doing this. And when they flash that second time, that means it's gonna start up, and it's gonna run for 10 minutes. Now Nissan has an intelligent remote start where it does sense the outside temperature, and it will automatically adjust to the inside temperature depending on the outside temperature. So if everything is frosted over, it's going to automatically turn your front windshield defrosters on, your rear windshield defrosters, your heated mirrors. If it's cold enough, it'll turn your heated steering wheel on for you too. So it's a really, really nice feature. In the summertime, if it's screaming hot out, it will turn your AC on for you, excuse me, and cool everything down. Now the next feature on here was the driver's seat memory. So that's just these ones here. So it is, of course, a power driver seat here. So you can move this one forward and back to move the seat forward and back. You can also move it up and down on the front end to tilt it, or on the back end to move the whole seat up. So this switch has a few different motions. Again, it's front to back. The front tilts up and down, and the back tilts up and down. So that one has a few motions. This one's just for the backrest. It'll tilt the backrest backwards or forwards. And then this is the lumbar control, 4 directions on the lumbar control as well. So a few different controls for that there too. So that's that. You get that set up where you want it. Then you move up to the steering column here. It's a power steering column, so just a little switch here to get the steering wheel set up where you want it. And then the last thing you want to do is the mirror control. So you can select your mirror with either of the buttons on the side, move them around with this one, get the mirrors set up where you want them. And then once all 3 of those things are set up, then you go to the seat settings here, you click set, and then number 1 or 2, and that's gonna program it to those. It does program to the keys as well. So if you do it with one key and your wife does it with another key, then you can program them to both. When you unlock the door with your key, it's gonna automatically go to your seat setting to make it a little bit easier for you. All right, next on the list. Okay, so the next few features are on the inside here. We've got some with the screen here for the Bluetooth and the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, because I'm filming on my phone currently, I actually can't show you the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto, but it's really easy to do. If you have an iPhone, it is wireless Apple CarPlay, so you can set it up very similar to how you do Bluetooth. So you want to go settings, connections. I'll zoom into this a little bit here, and then you just click add new, and then you want to go into your phone, go into the Bluetooth settings on your phone, make sure it's scanning. If you have an Android, Apple's will automatically scan, and then yours will pop, sorry, I just bumped my phone. It'll pop up on your phone first. You're gonna click My Pathfinder, and then it'll show up here. You'll click on the phone, and then they'll both pair. It's very, very easy to do. After that, it'll ask if you want to connect to Apple CarPlay, again, if you have an Apple. Now, if you have an Android like I do, you do have to plug your phone into this port, the USB port up front. It'll come up with a prompt on your phone asking for permission to access your phone, and then it'll pull your phone screen up here for the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto. For the menu here, when your phone is connected to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, if you want to get into it, if you go back to the home menu, this, instead of being phone here, will be the symbol for either Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So once it's connected, you'll see it there once you can connect to it. Again, it's wireless for Apples, have to plug it in for Androids. All right, so now next is the rain sensing windshield wipers. So on the windshield wipers here, I'll shut the car off real quick just so I'm not going to be setting them off. If you go up, they'll only go once and then stop. The first setting down is the auto setting and intermittent as well. So you can change how fast it'll go with the intermittent switch in the middle here. And then below that is low and high. But again, when it's in auto, you can pretty much just leave it there. Once the rain picks up, it'll speed up the intermittent for you already. And once it slows down, it'll slow down for you too. So again, you can kind of see the little guideline there. There's off, one time is up, auto, low, and high is below that. Next, we will go over the climate controls. So on here, there is a dual climate control and a tri-zone climate control. So starting from the sides here, we have our heated seats and our cooled seats. So you get 3 settings for those. And then you have 2 different temperatures. So right now one's on 24 degrees, one's on high. You can use both of these dials to move those around. And then they do share a fan strength in the middle right here. You can either bring new air into the car or recirculate the air. Turn that back down. This button here will go through all the different vents that you have available. And then you have the front windshield defroster and the rear windshield defroster. Now the rear one also does your heated mirrors too. So that's going to be your switch for the heated mirrors. Now if you want to activate the rear climate control, you just hit the rear control up top here. You can turn it on or off, and you can lock it. So if your kids are in the back there and you don't want them playing with it, you can hit lock and then only you have control of it. And then you go to rear control, and it will pop up in the middle right here. I think I got to turn it on first actually. There it is there. And then your control, once you go to rear control, it has to be lit up. Then you can control their temperature back there if you want a separate one set. Otherwise, if you go sync, turn that off, and then you can leave the rear lock on. Now when you sync them, all 3 temperatures are going to go to your main temperature there. So that'll be the easiest way to adjust the entire vehicle. But again, you can also just leave the rear one off too if you wanted. So a few different ways to go about that. Your air conditioning button is on the bottom of that one. You have the auto, which I honestly don't use too much. It will automatically adjust the fan strength and the modes to get to the temperature the fastest. So before the vehicle's warmed up, it's going to keep the fan strength low. Once the vehicle starts to warm up and it's able to warm the car up, then it'll turn the fan strength up a little bit to get to that temperature, and then once it gets there, it'll turn it back down again. All right, so next is our terrain and drive mode selector. So we've got quite a few different ones with the Pathfinder. This one in the middle is your regular driving mode that you're probably going to use most of the time, unless you really like the eco mode or the sport mode. But this one, the all-wheel drive, will activate with it. It's going to be in front-wheel drive most of the time for better fuel economy, but when you're stopped and you start moving, it'll put a little bit of power to the rear wheels to get you going. And then most of the time, again, just stay in front-wheel drive. But if the wheels do slip, it is able to activate the all-wheel drive, put the powers back to the rear wheels, and regain that traction. To the left, the first one is your snow mode. This one is a more proactive version than the regular all-wheel drive. So it's going to expect conditions to be slippery already and put a little bit of extra power to those rear wheels ahead of time before you slip. And then similar with the sand and mud mode, or sorry, the mud and rut mode. And then there's the sand mode down below. So there's just different driving conditions, changes the steering up a little bit. It'll just depend kind of what you're driving through there for which one of those you're going to want to have up. And then to the other way, we have our eco mode, which you can also see up here, what mode you're in. So we've got our eco mode, sport mode, and our tow haul mode. So the eco mode is going to give you less acceleration. The RPMs will not go quite as high, and it's going to save you on fuel because of it. Sport mode's going to do the opposite. It's going to rev up a little bit higher. You're going to get more power earlier on in the throttle push. And tow mode is actually fairly similar to sport mode, where it's going to keep the vehicle revved up a little bit higher, which gives you more torque. which is better for towing. It's going to give you a little bit more power, but in turn they will burn a little bit more fuel having that extra power behind the vehicle too. We do also have a button here for the auto start and stop. If you turn it off, when you come to a stop, like say you're stopping at a stop sign or a stoplight, it'll pretty much shut the engine off. So that's your button there if you want to turn it on or off. I believe it's automatically set to off though. So this next part, I'm going to go from the center console here over to the screen in front. I'm just going to kind of do it once over, and I think that'll check a few of the features off the list here. So the first one here is the electric parking brake. It's really simple. If you pull up on it, it'll turn it on. And then with your foot on the brake, it'll let you know up here. If I just try and turn it off without my foot on the brake, it'll come up saying please press the brake pedal. So with the brake pedal on, you just want to push down on it, and that'll shut it off. So that's nice and simple there. The gear shifter's next. It's a fully electronic gear shifter there. So it's really simple once you get the hang of it, but it is a little bit different. So it's more of a toggle this year with it. And because it's all electric, you do get all the space underneath it as well. So you have a really big pocket underneath the center console, which is great for storing stuff. Now for the gear shifter here, again, it's really simple once you get the hang of it. So drive is back. So you just pull back for drive. Now I'm in drive, I can start going. Reverse is the little button just on the side here that you want to push, and then you push it forward for reverse. You can see the little light move there. The 360 camera and everything will come up automatically when you go into reverse. And then park is just the button on top. So again, it's a little bit different, but it's easy once you get the hang of it. It's just all the way back for drive, push the button on the side for release, and then push it forward for reverse, and then the button on top for park. Neutral, there's a half push in between that you can hold it in to shift into neutral. So there's neutral, that's drive. And same going forward, there's neutral, that's reverse. And then that's park on top. Neutral's not one that you're going to need to shift into very often, but just in case you ever do, again, it's just that half push will shift it into neutral. So that's the gear shifter. Next I will touch on the 360 camera real quick. So if you're in park or drive, you can click the camera button here and it'll show you the front of the vehicle. I've got a car driving beside me right now. And then because this is I'm in park right now, it's actually showing the front camera here. So if you are going into a parking spot going forwards, you can actually use the front camera here and still have access to it that way, and you still get the full 360 camera on the right hand side. Now next, I'm going to go to the screen in front here. So I've just got a classic view of the screen here. All the steering wheel controls are on the left-hand side here. So you've got a little scroll wheel that kind of scrolls up or down, and then two buttons on either side. And then we have this menu button here too. So the first thing you can do with the menu button, I'll try and do a full view here. So I'll click that button and you can click on change meter view. And this little scroll wheel, you're just gonna push it straight in to select it. So I'll go back to that, I'll go menu, click that in, and what this does is it pushes it to a 3D view. So you get a larger middle screen. You still get your speedometer. It's a digital speedometer on the right hand side. It'll show you what gear you're in on the left hand side. And it's a neat screen because instead of just choosing one thing that you can change, you can actually choose bits and pieces of it. So say, if you want to put your navigation on the screen in the middle and you plug it, this will give you directions and everything like that. You can have, instead of having your gear shifter up there, I can go to personal display and I can change that to whatever I want it to be. So instead of taking up the full screen with the fuel economy, I can keep the fuel economy off to the left there and get it that way. So that's definitely a neat option. And then you can go back to the main screen, and again you can choose whatever. You can get fuel economy up here, your radio information, your safety features, so you can do all that. And then the last screen, you can see along the bottom there's all the different options there. The last one is for the settings screen, and so this is where I'm going to go over a lot of the safety features. So I'm going to go over to driver assistance, and hopefully you can see it okay on the screen. I might dim it down a little bit, that might help. Oh, that's way better. So now there's a few different things that you can turn on or off. So the steering assistant is the steering assist for the cruise control, so it's the Pro Pilot Assist. When your cruise control is set, it can do some of the steering for you. If you have that one turned off, like it is here, it'll just stay turned off. But from here, you can either click that button, or there is actually a button down here you can click, and that'll turn it on and off. So you don't need to go into the menu button to turn the Pro Pilot Assist off. That's the only one you don't need to. The rest of the safety features, most of them will be turned on. So we have our lane keep assist. So you can turn on the warning. I'll leave them all on for now. So this will beep at you when you go over the line, and then the intervention will kind of nudge you back into the right direction. It taps the brake just slightly. You'll barely notice it. It's not going to yank it out of your arms or anything like that, but it just kind of nudges you back into the lane just a little bit. The blind spot assistant, your blind spot warning is in the top corner of either of the mirrors. Hopefully we can see that one over there, just on the top right. So that blind spot warning will light up when somebody's in your back corner in the lane beside you. And you can turn the warning and again the intervention for that one off as well. The emergency assist, so you have your forward and emergency braking. The forward emergency braking does save you 10% off of your basic insurance, so that one you always want to keep on, otherwise you will void your insurance with it. It's automatically turned on every time you start the car. And then the rear one you can turn off if you want to. It's really handy though. So the forward one works with a radar, so it detects vehicles in front of you, and the Pathfinder also has the pedestrian detection as well, which uses a camera to look at the shape of a person walking. So that's made for metal vehicles and people walking. It's made for those two specific things, nothing else. It won't catch a person riding a bike in front of you because it's not the right shape and it's not large enough for the radar to pick it up for the metal. But the rear emergency braking uses sonar, so that's for any object behind you. It's going to be for slower speeds if you're about to hit a wall, a person walking, a dog, a bike. As long as that sonar sensor picks it up, it is able to hit the brakes for you when you're backing up. So that's really nice. We have our speed limit sign, so that when you pass a speed limit sign, I believe it shows up right at the top. I could be wrong where it shows up, but it'll show a little speed sign and the last speed sign that you passed, and it uses the camera to pick that up, so it doesn't use navigation. I love that it doesn't use navigation, because road signs change every now and again. And the navigation's never up to date with it. So that one actually will pick up the last one that you pass. So as long as it had a clear view of it, as soon as you pass that, it'll change right there, and it works really, really well. Now the next one, we got our speed adjust by route. I think that's for the cruise control. So if you're on a highway, you can turn, it'll adjust for when you pass the speed sign. And then you can adjust it. So if you do like to drive 10 over the speed limit, you can adjust it. There's a net that you can adjust, so it'll adjust to 10 over. So you can do that with it. Speed limit, assist, manual. I think this is where you do it here. And then you can manually turn it on and off there. And then the parking aids, moving object detection. So there's a few here. So again, we got our front and rear sonar. So those will just beep as you're getting close to things, and again, can hit the brakes before you hit them. The moving object detection, that you actually heard a couple times here. So when the camera's pulled up, if somebody's walking around the vehicle, it'll highlight whatever camera they walk around and give you a little beep letting you know there is motion around you, so someone might be walking by or something like that. So that's the moving object detection. Sonar, oh, you can set the distance and the volume for how far away the sonar works too, so some nice options for that. The rear cross traffic alert, that one is for when you're backing out of a parking space. There's that moving object, somebody just walked past me. Where was I? Rear cross traffic alert, so that's when you're backing out of a parking space. Say if there's like two trucks to either side of your vehicle, and you aren't able to kind of see past them, as you're nosing your back end out, if there's traffic coming from either direction, it'll just give you that two little beeps letting you know there's traffic coming, and it'll flash the blind spot warning in the mirror letting you know which side it's coming from too. So that one's just for when you're backing out of a parking spot. It'll tell you if there's traffic coming. Driver alertness is for when you're driving. I think this is where you set the timer for, no, that's not it, sorry, that's just a timer that you can set. So the driver alertness activates after 20 minutes of driving. It kind of picks up your driving habits, how many times you've gone over the lines if you have, and things like that. And if it finds after that 20 minutes that you're starting to get a little bit sloppier, it'll pop up with a little copy sign saying take a break with a question mark after it. And then there's a bar underneath the copy sign for how serious it is. So if you're getting really sloppy and you should probably pull over and take a nap or something like that, it'll let you know below that. So that is that one, excuse me. Low temperature alert, that'll just pop up with a little snowflake once it gets to, I think, about 3 degrees out, and it's pretty much just saying watch for icy conditions pretty much because the temperature is cold. Steering assist, we talked about that one. I will turn it on for now. Oh, we're back at the top here, so I believe I've been over all those. So there's the driver assistance screen. The VDC is the traction control with it, so you can pretty much leave that one on all the time. It stands for Vehicle Dynamic Control. personal display. So that's the screen we're talking about to the left here. This is another way to access it. And again, you can just choose what screen you want to have up there for navigation, trip, fuel economy. You can get your gear position up there, anything like that. So I usually like to have the fuel economy one up there. That's the one I'll leave it on for you right now. But if you want to just leave it up there, that's how you adjust it. Now the heads-up display, we have this handy little number in the windshield there. So that's your heads-up display. Through the settings here, you can adjust the height of it, the brightness, the rotation if you want to turn it a little bit. So it's just a few settings for it. There is a button right down here if you want to shut it off completely. If it's driving you crazy, you can click that button and it'll just shut it off. So you definitely don't need to use it. It's really cool though. It works with your cruise control will show up there. If you turn your navigation on, the little arrow saying turn left in 200 or 600 meters will show up there as well. So it's really cool. I love that feature. They made it look really nice as well. It's just, there's not like a second screen that pops up. It's right just in the windshield there. So they did a great job with that. Moving on, I know we're getting on to a 20-minute video here. I'm going to check my list to see what other features I need to go through. One moment. All right, so I think the only one I missed is the high beam assist. So your lights are on the blinker knob here. And so you can kind of see it in there. It says auto right in there. So that's what it's on now. If you move it forward, you can manually turn your lights on. It'll show you up there what setting you're on again. So you can manually turn them on there. Your fog lights are this dial right in between. And there is a back to it as well, so I can actually move that. So it's really easy to move that little dial there. So that's your fog lights on. And then your auto headlights are the button on the end here. So it'll show you if they're on or off right up there. And so pretty much you do still have to push the whole knob forward to turn your high beams on. And then the auto will work from there. So you still have to turn them on like normal, but what it'll do is it will shut them off automatically as soon as there's traffic coming towards you. So as soon as it picks up headlights, it'll shut them off real quick. Once they pass you, then it'll turn them back on. It does work for taillights as well, I believe. So it's a really handy feature. I'm not sure what your highways are like up in Kitimat there, but for our highways here, it works awesome for sure. I think that's most of the features. Again, for the cruise control, this blue button here will turn your cruise control on. You can see a little symbol up top there. And then it's just down on the switch to set your speed or up to resume it. And then this sets the distance for the vehicle in front of you, so it does have the intelligent cruise control that follows the flow of traffic. So for our highway here, it's set at 110. If somebody in front of you slows down below 110, it just matches their speed. And then with this button here, where am I here? Oh yeah, it says it up front there. Did I turn it off? Oh gosh, I might actually need to be in gear for this to work. That's what's going on. So there's going to be either 3 bars, 2 bars, or 1 bar. And this is how you set there it is there. Oh, it's just there. So there's 3 bars is the furthest distance away, 2, and then 1. So you can kind of set the distance for that. Again, the Pro Pilot Assist, there's a little steering wheel down here. You can turn the steering assist off if you just want regular cruise control, or on if you want to try having it do some of the steering for you. It is assisted steering, not self-steering though, so you still have your hands on the steering wheel. It wants to feel a little bit of resistance from you, but it does a really good job. If you have, like we have a double lane highway here where there's 4 lanes altogether, and it works really well for that. The highway going north of Campbell River, I don't like it as much because it's only a 2-lane highway, and when logging trucks and stuff are going past you kind of want to be over to the shoulder a little bit more, and it kind of wants you to be right in the middle of the road. So I didn't like it going north as much. It still worked just fine, but going south of Campbell River where it's 4-lane highway, it works really well. I've gone all the way to Nanaimo with it a few times, and it does a great job. So definitely try it out and see how you like it. Some people don't use it at all, some people love it. It's definitely everyone has different opinions on it. You do of course have the big sunroof up here as well. The controls for that are just above the steering wheel here. The SOS button will immediately dial an emergency line. That is connected to the 6-month trial period. I think, please don't call, I think it's a little cap here. Yes, it is. God, I'm always so nervous about that. So it's kind of like a little emergency button there. So that'll actually open up and click the red button to dial an emergency line. I've had customers just hit it before, so I think that's why they made that change with it. It's a very nice change to have. And then these are for, this one will open your sunroof. This one will open and close the slider, which is the cover for the sunroof there. So I think that's mostly everything. Oops. Go to a regular view here. Again, if there's something else that you want me to cover, I just remembered one more thing. Last thing, on the bottom, it's kind of getting dark out. On the bottom of the gear shift, or on the visor here is your garage door opener. Now to set that, you need the garage door opener remote that you already have. You want to push whatever button you want to set it to. There's 3 different buttons. Hold it down and then hold the button on your remote down as well. For about 20 seconds, there's a light somewhere, there it is there, that'll flash. That flashing will change once it's programmed. It'll either go slow to start and then fast, or it'll do vice versa. It might do fast and then slow, but that should work. You do want to make sure that you are away from your garage door. You have to be out of range of that, so that way your garage door itself isn't picking up the signal. The mirror will pick it up, and then it should be set after that. If that way doesn't work, it works about 70% of the time. The other way to do it is there is a button on the garage door opener itself that you can push to sync remotes, and then you come in here and hold that down. But usually the way with the remote, it's a little bit easier because you don't need to climb up to the garage door opener, and usually that works most of the time. So let me know if you have any questions about that. That's most of the features in here. Trying to think of any others. I think we did a good job of covering it though. So sorry for the really long video. Hopefully this helps you out for when you're getting used to it. Sorry I'm not going to be there for when you pick up the vehicle. But yeah, let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you have any questions about the vehicle once you do get it. I'm sure there's going to be some that come up because there's a lot of features in these cars. And enjoy it. So thank you very, very much for everything. I can't wait to get this vehicle in your hands. We'll definitely see it tomorrow there. And so we'll talk to you then. So thank you very much for your time and have a good rest of your day.